Brothers in arms embrace in a short while from now. There's expected to be a joint press conference between the leaders of the two nations. They're currently in what's being called a working lunch. We're also getting some images from Tel Aviv of Moshe Boy reaching the hotel where he will be meeting Prime Minister Modi. This meeting is expected after the joint interaction gets over. These are live images coming from Jerusalem, where preparations are currently underway for Moshe Boy to meet the Prime Minister. It's interestingly chosen, Mushtaq, the fact that you've asked for Moshe, his grandparents, his nanny to come and meet with the Prime Minister in the choice of the subject. A very, very powerful message being sent out.
Yes, Rahul. The fact that, as my co-panelist has already mentioned, that this one individual represents the joint pain that the two countries have faced. India and Israel both have, for the past many decades, faced the bane of terrorism. And now through this meeting, what Prime Minister Modi can represent, can signify to the whole world, especially to the perpetrators of terrorism, that it is time that two democratic states can collaborate, can meet together, can sympathize with each other, can understand each other's pain. As one of the very prominent Israeli newspapers highlighted 2 days back, that many Israeli politicians like to highlight the fact that between Bangladesh and Marrakesh, which is in Morocco, there are only two democratic states, that's Israel and India. And that in itself puts these two countries, our two countries, in a very select bracket. Prime Minister Modi is doing while meeting this bereaved family is that we have things in common which we have faced, but at the same time gives us strength to face these kind of challenges in the near future or in the long-term future as well.
So what's been the general response? I'll pull out some of those images from how the Israeli media is tracking the Prime Minister's visit. But to your mind, what's been the general response in Israel about the Prime Minister's visit there?
The official response has been very, very, very encouraging, and this is something that I think, other than the American president, no other head of state has witnessed this kind of an enthusiastic response. At the same time, there has been some debate in the Israeli media about the popular response to the Indian Prime Minister's visit. In one of the articles in a very major news outlet, the tagline says, "Israel, wake up." The idea they are trying to give is that even when they are not expecting something very concrete from an American president, especially Donald Trump, there is a widespread public excitement about his visit. A similar excitement is due in Prime Minister Modi's case as well. The article actually went to the extent of calling him the most powerful Prime Minister of the world. The operative word here being the Prime Minister. And what they were trying to convey is that the kind of tangible benefits that India-Israel relationship can bring to both the countries is right now something that even China is not ready to offer to Israel. So in that sense, the level of excitement at the official and the government level is no doubt very encouraging. A similar excitement the media is trying to create.
And in some senses, General Murthy, it's also the ideal state from the perspective of the Hindu right, from the perspective of the larger extended Sangh Parivar, a small country surrounded by hostile neighbors, being able to stand up to them, fight for its rights, not cower under pressure. This is what many in the right have wanted the Indian government to do, and past governments have failed to do so, and therefore for them this is that much more a special visit.
Yeah, look at the predicaments of Israel. They are a country where large number of people from different parts of the world, of different ethnicities, of different religions, of different different backgrounds are coming together, and now they've all got together and worked as a cohesive nation. It's something on those lines that we need to emulate and achieve in India. The other thing that you see is the resoluteness in their attitude to take on terror. When it comes to terror, they don't hold back. They have early warnings, they have very sound surveillance systems, they have very sound intelligence systems, and once they get to know...
No, and they have a stated policy, you hit us, we take you down no matter where you are in the world.
Precisely, no matter where we'll get you, and that's another thing we need to take away from them.
Rajiv Dogra, what are you expecting from this joint press conference? The press conference expected to start in a short while from now. What are the kind of things that you'll be looking out for?
Well, that's an interesting question, because at every step, every stage, both Mr. Modi and Prime Minister Netanyahu, they have given enough hints of what can be expected at the press conference. At the airport itself, Mr. Modi referred to Entebbe and the Prime Minister's brother's role where he died in that raid. The Israeli Prime Minister referred to terrorism in very strong terms. And just now, as one of the previous speakers was saying, Mr. Netanyahu again referred to the fact in terms of yoga that when you turn right, you will see Israel as a democracy, turn left and I'll see India as a democracy. That there are a lot of similarities between the two. How do we bring them out and maximize the cooperation? I think the press conference is going to be focused, one, on terrorism. Second, they will outline things on non-controversial areas, sensitive areas like agriculture and so on. But behind the scenes, and if the questions are probing, what will come out is the step up of A, the military cooperation, and B, some kind of intelligence sharing at an enhanced level. But I must
also
also
that
put
happen
in a word
because
of caution.
Israel
Mossad
does have the kind of satellites, the kind of intelligence wherewithal which can help India track on a moment-by-moment basis where India's most wanted terrorists are. And they'll be more than willing to share that with us.
That's right. Yeah, Rahul, what we can learn from the Israelis is the fact that, this entire thing of this huge apparatus that they've built up to, basically handle terrorism, this whole thing of having a trained intelligence set up and having the back end, which is the technological capability to back your boots on the ground. That is something that we've been talking of for several years and we've not been able to build up. There's been a lot of cooperation with Israel, but it's mainly been in fits and starts. Well, I think this is a great opportunity to take that forward, that relationship.
No, but we'd already got the third biggest weapon importer from Israel. So after Russia, after the US, Israel actually supplies us the most amount of arms. So there have been big deals, but the extent of cooperation possible is actually much bigger.
Oh, absolutely. And in every aspect, Rahul, from counter-terrorism to intelligence gathering, now snooping, off-the-air interception, knowing what the enemy is thinking, and that is what Israel does very well, gets into the mind of the enemy and then prevents the terror attack. So preventing the next terror attack is the biggest way to win the war on terror, to neutralize the threat even before the threat can reach your borders. That is where Israel is now training the Indian forces.
And we know from past conversations with Ajit Doval, our current national security advisor, that he's a big fan, or he's super impressed with the Israeli special forces, and he has every reason to be. He says there's no point. No, this is not after he became NSA, this is after he'd already retired as Director IB, before anybody gets any wrong ideas. But his view essentially is that if you've got special forces, use them. You're not supposed to leave them in their barracks. That's not where they're supposed to be, Sandeep.
Right. Yeah, Rahul, I want to take up from what Gaurav said about off-air interceptors. And one of the key areas that we are really looking towards Israel is smartphone hacking. Today Israel has some of the best capabilities in the world to hack smartphones,
really?
To get into messages. I mean, I have seen practical demonstrations in Israel of their ability to hack into phones and plant messages in the phones of target individuals,
What kind of messages?
Well, they would say that, please come to so-and-so place.
Wow.
Stuff like that. They are able to
Those
hack
are live
into
images from Israel, as I said. Coming in at this time, Moshe Boy on his way and waiting, in fact, for his meeting with the Prime Minister. I want to play out just two excerpts from the interaction that Prime Minister Modi and the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu had last night after dinner. We're expecting a fresh press conference in a short while from now. But before that, let's listen to last night's comments by the two heads of state.
Welcome to Jerusalem, my friend, Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, you know, you've only been here a few hours, and you've already visited Yad Vashem. You paid your respects at the tomb of the founder of our national movement, Theodor Herzl, and you've seen some of Israel's cutting-edge technology. We went to a greenhouse on a warm day. Believe me, it was a warm reception. I want to congratulate you, Prime Minister, on the reforms that you're doing to change Israel's, rather India's economy. And we both believe that we can do together great things for the betterment of the future of our peoples. I've been inspired.
Live images from the joint press conference that is about to start. We can see Benjamin Netanyahu and Prime Minister Modi there, both seated. I'll just stay quiet for a moment as we listen to what's going on.
$40 million for R&D projects over a period of 5 years for technological innovation. The next three documents relate to the issue of space. The first is a memorandum of understanding between the Indian Space Research Organization, ISRO, and the Israel Space Agency for Cooperation in electric propulsion for small satellites. The second is a memorandum of understanding between ISRO and the Israel Space Agency for Cooperation in GEO-LEO links. And the third is a plan of cooperation between ISRO and the Israel Space Agency for Cooperation in atomic clocks. I should add that the space field, the sphere of space has been identified, as we've heard over the last 2 days by the two prime ministers, as being one of the cutting-edge spheres in which our two countries will make every effort to cooperate together. The signing or the exchange of these three documents is the first step in a much larger and wider ranging space technology cooperation, of which we are very proud. The next agreement to be exchanged will be the India-Israel Development Cooperation 3-year work program in agriculture between the Indian Ministry of Agriculture and Mashav, the Israel Center for International Cooperation of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. This, of course, is an enhancement of our success story in setting up centers of excellence throughout India, and we will encompass many more Indian states and newer cutting-edge technologies throughout them. We're very happy with this cooperation, of course. The next MOU is between UP Jal Nigam government of Uttar Pradesh of the Republic of India and the Ministry of National Infrastructure, Energy and Water Resources of the State of Israel on state water utility reform in India. This is an agreement or a memorandum of understanding which will share Israeli experience in water management in specific cities within Uttar Pradesh, which will serve as a model for other states throughout India. I would now ask, if possible, that the two ambassadors leave the stage, and in their place, I would like to invite the two Director Generals of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of India and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Israel, Foreign Secretary Subramanian Jaishankar and the Director General of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Yuval Rotem, for the next two documents. The first is a memorandum of understanding between the Ministry of Drinking Water and Sanitation of India and the Ministry of National Infrastructure, Energy and Water Resources of Israel on a national campaign on water conservation in India. This is a public awareness. This is a public awareness document or agreement which will share Israeli experience in water conservation as a permanent campaign throughout India, of which we've spoken so much about, the two prime ministers have spoken so much about over the past few days. And the last document, but in many respects the most overarching and comprehensive one of all, is the the joint statement, Israel-India joint statement, that focuses on the entire discussions of the two prime ministers over the days and the entire spectrum governing Israeli-Indian relations. Governing Indian-Israeli relationship. I should add that this document will be distributed to the media immediately after this, and it's overarching and comprehensive in how it lays for all of us a roadmap of where we will be moving and where we should be moving in this wonderful relationship we have between Israel and India. What I would like now to ask, please, if you could leave the stage, Director Generals and Ambassadors, and ask the two honourable Prime Ministers if they could, we will now move to the press statements given by them on the podium. Thank you very much indeed.
What a great day. The first day of a historic journey. Your visit, my friend Prime Minister Modi, to Israel. You are making history. We're making history together. This is a deeply moving moment for me, both in personal, but also in national and international terms. Personal, well, I can tell you, I told this to Prime Minister Modi yesterday, that almost 30 years ago I went on a date in Tel Aviv in an Indian restaurant and produced two fine children. The food was great. So yesterday I asked Rina Pushkarna, who was the owner of that restaurant, to prepare this dinner for this date, and it was equally good. We also had a moving, very moving Israeli singer of Indian origin. She sang a song hauntingly beautiful in Hindu, but also she sang a Hebrew song which the Israelis here are familiar with. It's called Ani Va'ata Neshane et Ha'olam. You and I will change the world. I have a feeling that today India and Israel are changing our world and maybe changing parts of the world, because this is a cooperation, it's a marriage really made in heaven, but we're implementing it here on earth. We discussed in our meetings yesterday and today, just now, with several of our ministers and your delegation, we spoke about so many fields where we think we can make a big difference. A big difference in water, in agriculture, in health, in every field, in so many fields, in the fields of that affect the lives of our people, their well-being, their employment possibilities, the longevity of their lives, and how they live it. So we have decided, because Prime Minister Modi and I are, I think, not only wedded to visions, but we like to have our feet connected. We try to look to the distance, but have our feet firmly planted on the ground. We have empowered our staffs to bring us concrete plans in these diverse areas by the 1st of January. So this is very practical. We're going to seek to bring many millions of people, both in India, it's many millions of people. But we're talking about beyond that even. We're talking about also cooperation in third countries and actually working together to better the future of the people of Africa. India is present there, Israel is present and coming into Africa, and we think that by joining forces in various areas that I just discussed and others, we can help the people of Africa as well. So this is very, very exciting, and it tells you how we are seizing the future. We also recognize that we are the future of the people of Africa. India is present there, Israel is present and coming into Africa, and we think that by joining forces in various areas that I just discussed and others, we can help the people of Africa as well. So this is very, very exciting, and it tells you how we are seizing the future. We also recognize that we are being challenged. We're being challenged by the forces of terror, the forces of terror that seeks to undermine our world, our countries, making this important gesture. But this is an expression of our commitment to fight the bad and work for the good. And I think this is what marks this visit. It's a partnership to seek the good, to defend the good, to achieve the good. And this is a good day. My friend, Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
Your Excellency, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, members of the media, thank you, Excellency, for your warm words of welcome and for the exceptional generosity with your time and friendship. I will truly cherish the most wonderful dinner that you and Mrs. Netanyahu hosted for me yesterday. Our conversation last night, meeting Mrs. Netanyahu, learning about your family, especially what you told me about your father, has taken my experience of a beautiful country to a whole new level. India admires the success of your people in overcoming adversity to advance, innovate and flourish against all odds. Friends, I'm honored to be in Israel on this extraordinary visit. In our modern journey, our paths have been different, but our belief in democratic values and economic progress has been a shared pursuit. This visit is an occasion to rejuvenate the bonds of our friendship, to compose a new chapter in our lives, and to jointly venture toward new horizons of engagement. Prime Minister Netanyahu and I have had productive discussions covering an extensive menu of issues, not just on areas of bilateral opportunities, but also how our cooperation can help the cause of global peace and stability. Our goal is to build a relationship that reflects our shared priorities and draws on enduring bonds between our peoples. Friends, Israel is among the leading nations in the field of innovation, water, and agricultural technology. These are also among my priority areas in India's development. We agreed that efficiency of water and resources use, water conservation and its purification, productivity increase in agriculture are key areas in deepening our bilateral cooperation. We are of one view that together our scientists and researchers would develop, build, and implement mutually beneficial solutions in the field. Our decision to establish a bilateral technology innovation fund worth $40 million for research in industrial development will help us in achieving this goal. We regard thriving two-way trade and investment flows as the bedrock of a strong partnership. Prime Minister Netanyahu and I agreed on the need to do more in this direction. Businesses on both sides should take primary lead in such efforts. This would also be our message to the CEO Forum tomorrow. Friends, India and Israel live in complex geographies. We are aware of strategic threats to regional peace and stability. India has suffered first-hand the violence and hatred spread by terror. So as Israel. Prime Minister Netanyahu and I agreed to do much more together to protect our strategic interests and also cooperate to combat growing radicalization and terrorism, including in cyberspace. We also discussed the situation in West Asia and the wider region. It is India's hope that peace, dialogue and restraint will prevail. Friends, our people hold natural affinity and warmth for each other. The Indian origin Jewish community reminds us of these bonds. It also serves as a bridge to a shared future. In recent years, we have been receiving a large number of Israeli tourists in India. At the same time, more and more Indian students are choosing to pursue advanced academics and research in your best universities. I am confident that city of Haifa, Israel. That is very dear to my country. This is the final resting place for 44 of the Indian soldiers who sacrificed their lives during World War I in liberate the city, that city. Tomorrow, I travel to Haifa to pay homage to our brave Indian soldiers. Excellency Netanyahu, it has been a productive and memorable 24 hours in Israel. I am sure the rest of my stay would be equally exciting. Let me also take this chance to invite you and Mrs. Netanyahu and your family to visit India. I again thank you for your warm welcome and hospitality. Thank you. Thank you very much. Shalom.
Thank you, and I accept.
Okay, that was Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Mr. Netanyahu, lots of quips and asides. I think there's a suggestion there for the Prime Minister's speechwriter, throw in jokes in the next speech because the Prime Minister is sounding very serious. But of course, the kind of things which are being said, and I think that really is key. Welcome Ambassador K.C. Singh, former Secretary of the Ministry of External Affairs. He's joining us on this broadcast. Commodore J.J. Singh also. The kind of language being used, the kind of praise being showered, it's very different, you know. Prime Minister Modi has had successful visits. Kind of bonhomie, the camaraderie that we're seeing this time, Gaurav, is quite unprecedented.
Oh, absolutely. And the terminology being used, while their focus may remain on agriculture and water management, read between the lines how the focus is increasing footprint in Africa, how focus is on cyber terrorism, and that is where battling the Islamic State becomes extremely crucial, Rahul, because cyberspace is where the Islamic State and that ideology of radical Islamic terror operates. This is where India and Israel intend to cooperate very deeply.
I want to go across to KC Singh. He's been listening in very intently to this joint interaction. If you were to look at this from a critical perspective of foreign policy analysis, what do you think is the message Tel Aviv and Delhi are sending out tonight?
Look, the optics are excellent as they were expected. Israelis always had very friendly interaction, whatever delegation goes there, and this because it's at the leadership level. And Netanyahu and Prime Minister Modi bring a new personal quality to it. It's the thing, but as far as the themes are concerned, there's really nothing new in it. You know, these are the very issues which the two nations have been dealing with. Only thing new is for water management, water conservation, agriculture. We've been talking about these issues for the last 25 years. What they've done is that they have now sides to bring specific plans by January 1. Now, what have we done over the last 3 years of this government that we need plans now till January 1? So, you know, this normally happens that when leaders meet, then the bureaucracies in the two sides focus. Otherwise, why did we have to wait 3 years to bring a water conservation plan to UP, which has had a Yamuna and a Ganga cleaning plan for 3 years now? This is something which should have been in place by now. No, I am not criticizing. I'm simply saying that these are themes. Those of us who have dealt with Israel, we've had these themes always on the paper. But the problem Israel has had is that they have to go to the states to implement them. And all the states have not always shown the same alacrity and the same speed with which to pick up the themes. But other than that, look, on the terrorism thing, we can go gaga over it. But the fact I discussed it with them when I was additional secretary, their object, what was of interest to them used to be Palestinians. And Palestinians were not threatening India. India was being threatened by Pakistan specific groups, about which Israel didn't know much because they didn't have interaction or Hizbul Mujahideen and so forth. Only new element which now comes in is that ISIS they definitely have a very close understanding of because they've been observing it for the last 4 years. They've seen its rise, they've seen its fall, they've seen Nusra Front, they've seen all these groups which are generating there in Syria. They've been observing very carefully. Now, what if any of those come to a neighborhood or affect us would be of interest, but where Israel comes in, and that is where they never have exported to India major platforms. They don't sell aeroplanes or ships. They have very good systems integration systems. So, you know, where systems like cyber war, handling cyber terrorism, they've done a lot of work in the past. And I'm sure with the two prime ministers now energizing it, there will be more work that will be done. But it's, I think, consolidation, recap. But it's
you and
not
I will change the world. It's a marriage made in heaven. We are implementing it here on earth to achieve the good, to defend the good, to work with the good, to fight the bad. Just words, or do you see words replete with meaning here?
No, it's embedded in this our commitment. You see, what has been done in the preceding 25 years has been more of hollow talk in the past. To say that the same thing is being repeated or the old wine is being packaged in a bottle, I differ from the respected ambassador. I think that the relationship has gone to a completely new level.
Oh, absolutely.
There is a need to accelerate matters. Okay, nothing has happened in the preceding 3 years, but now a target has been fixed, timeline has been laid down, and there will be commitments. Yes, there is an issue where when projects are associated with state governments, then execution does become a problem.
I want to play out some excerpts from that interaction between the two prime ministers. Let's listen to Benjamin Netanyahu, who seems to have a cracking sense of humor. Lots of jokes, quips thrown in. and really he lightens it up, very different from the kind of staged statements you see from some other world leaders. This is a man with a very funny bone.
What a great day. The first day of a historic journey. Your visit, my friend Prime Minister Modi, to Israel. You are making history. We're making history together. This is a deeply moving moment for me, both in personal but also in national and international terms. Personal, well, I can tell you, I told this to Prime Minister Modi yesterday, that almost 30 years ago I went on a date in Tel Aviv in an Indian restaurant and produced two fine children. The food was great. So yesterday I asked Rina Pushkarna, who was the owner of that restaurant, to prepare this dinner for this date, and it was equally good. We also had a moving, very moving Israeli singer of Indian origins. She sang a song hauntingly beautiful in Hindu, but also she sang a Hebrew song which the Israelis here are familiar with. It's called Ani Va'ata Neshaneh et Ha'olam. You and I will change the world. I have a feeling that today India and Israel are changing our world and maybe changing parts of the world, because this is a cooperation, it's a marriage really made in heaven, but we're implementing it here on earth. We discussed in our meetings yesterday and today, just now, with several of our ministers and your delegation, we spoke about so many fields where we think we can make a big difference. A big difference in water, in agriculture, in health, in every field, in so many fields, in the fields of that affect the lives of our people, their well-being, their employment possibilities, the longevity of their lives, and how they live it. So we have decided, because Prime Minister Modi and I are, I think, not only wedded to visions, but we like to have our feet connected. We try to look to the distance, but have our feet firmly planted on the ground. We have empowered our staffs to bring us concrete plans in these diverse areas by the 1st of January. So this is very practical. We're going to seek to bring to fruition these various areas which can truly revolutionize our relationship, but also the lives of many, many millions of people. Both in India, it's many hundreds of millions of people, but we're talking about beyond that even. We're talking about also cooperation in third countries and actually working together to better the future of the people of Africa. India is present there, Israel is present and coming into Africa, and we think that by joining forces in various areas that I just discussed and others, we can help the people of Africa as well. So this is very, very exciting, and it tells you how we are seizing the future. We also recognize that we are being challenged. We are being challenged by the forces of terror that seeks to undermine our world, our countries, the peace and stability of our common civilization. And we have agreed to cooperate in this area as well. I have to say that from this meeting, we shall be meeting young Moshe Holtzman, who was a survivor of the horrible terrorist attack in Mumbai. And I thank you, Prime Minister, for making this important gesture. But this is an expression of our commitment to fight the bad and work for the good. And I think this is what marks this visit. It's a partnership to seek the good, to defend the good, to achieve the good. And this is a good day. Welcome, my friend, Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
Your Excellency, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, members of the media, thank you, Excellency, for your warm words of welcome and for the exceptional generosity with your time and friendship. I will truly cherish the most wonderful dinner that you and Mrs. Netanyahu hosted for me yesterday. Our conversation last night, meeting Mrs. Netanyahu, learning about your family, especially what you told me about your father, has taken my experience of your beautiful country to a whole new level. India admires the success of your people in overcoming adversity to advance, innovate and flourish against all odds. Friends, I'm honored to be in Israel on this extraordinary visit. In our modern journey, our paths have been different, but our belief in democratic values and economic progress has been a shared pursuit. This visit is an occasion to rejuvenate the bonds of our friendship, to compose a new chapter in our ties, and to jointly venture toward new horizons of engagement. Prime Minister Netanyahu and I have had productive discussions covering an extensive menu of issues, not just on areas of bilateral opportunities, but also how our cooperation can help the cause of global peace and stability. Our goal is to build a relationship that reflects our shared priorities and draws on enduring bonds between our peoples. Friends, Israel is among the leading nations